Hello. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Wellness Wednesday, I like to call it. So, you guys like my shirt I'm wearing today? My kids loved it. It's like got little pearls everywhere. Pretty sure I can't wash this thing, but I just had to get it because it's just so darn cute. All right, let's get right into this. We are talking about 3 ways that you can up-level your mom life today. And I would say if you are a mom, and actually you don't even have to be a mom to be listening today. Of course, my target audience is usually moms, but I think this applies to even if you're not a mom. But if you're feeling unfulfilled, unhappy, overwhelmed, you feel like there's more to life than what you're doing right now, then today is for you, because I'm going to give you just 3 quick ways that you can start to make change and make some shift in your life and bring more good things into your life and live a more fulfilled, happier life. Okay, so if you're watching this live, make sure you pop in, say hi. That's my phone ringing. Let's see who it is. I'll have to get back to that person. So if you are, if you're watching live, let me know that you're watching live. And if you are watching the replay, then let me know that you're catching the replay. Okay. So once that phone stops ringing, I'll get started. Okay. I want to start with a quote. Nobody ever calls my landline. And of course it's ringing while I'm doing a Facebook Live, which is pretty funny. So I'm going to read a little quote that I found today by Oprah Winfrey. Okay. And I just wanted to start with this because I really resonate with this, and this is why I do what I do. I believe the choice to become a mother is the choice to become one of the greatest spiritual teachers there is, to create an environment that's stimulating and nurturing, to pass on a sense of responsibility to another human being, to raise a child who understands that he or she is created from good and is capable of anything. I know for sure that few callings are more honorable. Pretty powerful stuff, right? And I believe this too. I believe that whether or not you made the choice to become a mom, once you actually are a mom and you are in charge of raising another human being, whether that's 1 human being or 10 human beings or more, people have more than 10 kids, I know. You have just taken on one of the hugest jobs in the world, to grow a human and to put something else out into this world. So I think it's a big job. And I think that right now, many women are feeling like it has taken over their life to do this job. And they've had to put themselves on the back burner to do this job. They're feeling unfulfilled in motherhood. They're feeling overwhelmed. And the reality is that if we want to raise amazing, great kids to put out into the world, then we have to be that ourselves. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I wanted to do this topic today, because I truly, truly believe that you cannot give what you do not have. You simply cannot show up as a mom and fulfill your role in the way you want to. Like, you might have all these great intentions of what kind of mom you want to be and what kind of kids you want to raise and what your life looks like, but you just can't. You cannot live that out if you're not fully good here, and here, right? Mind, body, soul. That's all got to be in a good, happy place in order for you to raise your kids in that same way. So that's why I'm passionate about this. And the term self-care gets thrown out so much these days. I feel it's overused, but we do talk a lot about this on the podcast as well, about self-care. To me, self-care does not mean like a day at the spa or painting my nails or that's not self-care. To me, self-care is nurturing that which allows you to then nurture your family. Okay, so anything about yourself that needs to be filled up so that you can properly show up for your family, that's self-care. Self-help is self-care. Self-development is self-care. Asking for help is self-care. And paying attention to the things that I'm going to say today, that's self-care. Just being a better human being and nurturing all these things, mind, body, and soul, that allow you to just be that much more for your family. That's self-care. Okay. And when people say that they feel guilty for taking time for themselves, or they feel guilty for self-care. I actually had this conversation with a guest on the podcast we recorded for 2018 last week, and I had a wonderful guest on. I can't wait for you guys to hear this episode. But we talked about mom guilt, because I was saying that I don't feel guilt. I don't know why, but I don't feel guilty for taking time to better myself in all areas of my life, to take good care of myself and my health and work on me, because it helps me be a better mom and a better wife and just be a better person in general. And I'm setting a good example for my kids. I feel zero guilt for that. And I kind of look at it like, cars and gas. And my best friend actually ran out of gas yesterday. I won't say her name, but she actually ran out of gas because for whatever reason, she didn't notice that her tank was running low, and then she ended up in a place where there wasn't a gas station around. And it's just kind of got me thinking about this analogy with motherhood. Like for me, self-care and self-help and self-betterment are just non-negotiables, right? Like there's no excuse for, like, I need to take care of myself. There's no excuse for not taking care of myself, because eventually I'm going to run out of gas. It may not show up right now. It may show up years from now, but eventually it does show up. So for me, it's like a non-negotiable. I have to care for myself. Otherwise, I can't care for my kids in the way that I want to. Like, sure, there's lots of moms out there walking the planet right now who are not caring for themselves, and they're completely just serving their families. They're running on empty and they think they're doing it. But it'll catch up with them, right? It always catches up with you a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It may not be for another, 40, 50 years where one day you realize you were just completely depleted and you're completely out of touch with who you are because you gave so much to your kids. So it's so important to remember that self-care is much bigger than just going to the spa, okay? In order for us to raise the kind of human beings we want to raise and change the world, which I think moms can do, in order for us to do that, we got to start with ourselves. And then when we are like the epitome of awesomeness, then we can in turn infect our children with that, right? Set a good example and be raising amazing humans. So that's kind of why I'm so passionate about this topic. And so today I'm going to give you guys 3 things that you can start doing right now that are going to help you start to get there and start to up-level your mom life. So thing number 1, I kind of touched on this already about the losing yourself, right? And how often do you hear women, moms, say they've lost themselves? They don't know who they are anymore. They don't even remember what used to bring them joy. I hear it all the time. And if you guys know, with Modern Mommy Prep School, I've been coaching new and expecting moms for the last year. And my number 1 tip to them has been to say, you guys see all those moms around you who are falling apart and completely putting themselves on the back burner and saying they've lost themselves. And if you don't want to become that, you need to anchor yourself in who you are now, right? So you need to know who you are, what lights you up, what are your gifts, what brings you joy, what do you love to do, what makes you happy, how you enjoy spending your time. When do you feel like you're in flow? When do you feel like things are just coming easy to you and life is happy and good? And those days where the whole day goes by and you just spent it in joy doing something you love to do and the time just went like this? That's flow. That's when you're in a state of flow. So what are you doing when you feel that way? You got to do more of that. So that's the tips that I've been giving to moms before their kids are born, and saying that this is really important to figure out what lights you up and figure out a way to anchor yourself into your pre-baby life so that once your baby comes, you won't just get swept away, right? And talk to your husband about that, and talk to anybody who's supporting you in raising your children so that they can be a part of allowing you time to do that. So now, I know there's a lot of people watching who are not pregnant. In fact, many of you are probably moms. So here is my tip for you. Now is the time. If you are right now feeling like you've lost yourself, or there's more to motherhood than being a mom, or you know that there's more out there for you, but you don't know what that is, or you're just feeling this itch that you're not feeling quite fulfilled, now is the time to find that. Get back to who you were before you had kids. Figure out what it is that lights you up. Figure out what it is that you are good at doing. What are your talents? What are your gifts? What are the things that you're good at doing? Forget about the career thing for a second. I'm just talking in general, okay? I'm talking about what it is that you've put on the back burner, whether it was a job, a career, a hobby. Just figure out what lights you up. I've got some comments popping up here. What if they aren't on board, even if you have approached them about this? Okay, we'll talk about that. I'm doing January and take this time to really focus on getting grounded myself. I love it. I love hearing moms say that they're having babies and they're preparing better. I love that. Good for you, Lisa. So let's talk about this for a second. What if the person who's helping you or who's supposed to help you, support you, what if they're not on board? So I'm just going to take a wild guess here that you're talking about your partner. I think the important thing to do here is to get back to the why. Why do we want to not lose ourselves? Or why do we want to be doing the things that light us up? And I always say to women, talk to your partner about what they loved about you. If you're pregnant, what do they love about you? What do they fall in love with, right? What are the things that they see in you that they fell in love with? And if you have kids, ask your partner what they loved about you when they first met you. What did they love about you before you had children? What did they fall in love with? Why did they ask you to marry them, right? If we're talking about a partner here, I think that's kind of usually the most powerful relationship, right? I think it's really important to get your partner on board with the why. And the why is that you don't ever want to be in a place where you've lost that person that he or she fell in love with, right? It's like that's the essence of you. When people get married and decide to have a family, before that family comes along, there is like an essence of you. And then eventually what happens is the kids come along and then the mom loses herself. It changes the dynamic of the family. It changes the dynamic between you and your partner. And things kind of unravel from there. And I think it's really important to remember that the whole reason you want to hold on to yourself, your essence, and be doing the things that light you up is because then it allows you to continue to be that awesome human being that you used to be. Like, this is what we're all trying to get to in life, is to live in alignment with our purpose and with what we were meant to do and what our gifts are. And we want to do it all, right? And we can do it all as moms, as long as we're giving thought to this kind of stuff. This stuff doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional and purposeful about it. So I would say now is a good time to bring your partner in. Like I always say, before babies are born, we have a prenatal mindset course over at Modern Mommy Prep School for new and expecting moms. And one of the worksheet assignments of the course is get your partner sitting down in front of you, and the two of you have a discussion about all the things that you love about each other. What are the things, the actual traits, personality traits that you love about each other? What do you think each other is really good at? What do you think each other's gifts are? Once you start that conversation, it kind of flows into this bigger idea that, and it goes both ways, by the way. I don't ever want my partner, my husband, to suddenly change and become a different person because he ended up having to put all these things that he was passionate about on the back burner to be a dad, right? We have to support each other. So I hope that helps you a little bit, Tanya. I think getting back to the why and really getting deep, like communication is so important, guys, and really getting deep in these conversations with whoever it is that you're not feeling supported by is so important. So getting back to that, that's the first step of kind of starting to up-level your mom life, is recognizing that you're not just meant to be a mom. There's another gift that you were given in this life to share with the world. There's only one of you, and there's like 7 billion people on this planet. There's only one of you. There will only ever be one of you. And there is something that you have that no one else has. A way that you do something, the way you deliver something, a gift, a talent, a passion. There's something, and you got to find that, and you got to do that. Okay, so and it can be a number of things. Right now, all I'm saying is just Find out what you love to do, what lights you up, when do you feel like you're in your flow, and then do more of that. So start doing more of what you love and less of what you don't love, right? Say no to the things that don't serve you. I've talked about this in the past, the power of no for moms, which also includes, the things that are time suckers that you don't even enjoy doing. Say no to that and bring more of what you love into your life. Now, taking it a step further, you can go to talking about your career and work and business. And are you in a soul-sucking job that you absolutely hate? Well, now is the time to figure out what it is that would light you up and that you would love to do day in and day out. Figure that out and then figure out how to make money from it. In today's world, guys, with online business and all the opportunities that we're surrounded by with technology and modern day technology, you can take pretty much anything and turn it into a business. I promise you this, okay? That's not the hard part. The hard part is figuring out what are your gifts and how are you going to share those with the world. So once you start to get on that path of really thinking, and bring your partner into this. If you're already a mom and you already have kids, I would be saying to that person, what do you think I'm really good at? Like, I don't even remember anymore what I used to be good at before I had kids, right? I'm good at being a mom now, but maybe I don't know what else I'm good at. Ask your partner. I always say, ask the 5 people that know you the best. Maybe it's your siblings, maybe it's your best friend, maybe it's your parents. Ask them what they think you're good at, and you'll start to see like consistent themes coming up of the way people perceive you, and I would be using those as my clues of things that I should be thinking about pursuing. Okay, it could be hobbies, it could be anything. Just start to live in a place of thinking about what lights you up, what you're good at, what makes you feel like you're in flow. Okay, so that's the first tip. The number one way to start up-leveling your mom life is start to consider doing more of what you love and then going from there. Number 2, I want to talk about the law of attraction. Law of attraction also gets thrown around a lot. What the law of attraction really is not this idea that you want to bring things into your life, and if you think about them, you can manifest them. The law of attraction really is about like attracting like. And so I always say that what you put out into the world, usually you get back more of that. And I think that is where a lot of people kind of lose this idea of, people think, well, I'm wishing for all these things, or I have this vision board, but nothing's happening for me. If you want a happier, more fulfilled, better life, better mom life, you cannot be in a place of lack, right? And this is so true, guys, you know this. Like attracts like. If you are, I look at the people in my life who are single, for instance, right? This is just an example, the relationship example. And they'll say, well, I just keep like meeting the same kind of guy, and I'm not finding like my dream husband. I think if you keep attracting the same type of person over and over, and that's not the person you want to be with, it's time to look at yourself and ask yourself what you're putting out there, because something you're putting out there is attracting that same person. So that's just an example of relationships and people, but I believe this to be true of everything. Like the laws of the universe are that you attract what you are, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you're always in a place of lack and of wanting and of feeling like what you have isn't good enough and you want more, you can't make things come to you. You can't make stuff happen. You can't will things to happen. You have to be living in a place of higher vibration and happiness already, and then you will start to attract more happiness and abundance. So how do we raise our vibration as moms to be in a happier place so that we can receive more things? Gratitude, okay? Gratitude is the simplest and quickest way to pull yourself out of a funk and raise your vibration to a place where you're going to attract more awesomeness into your life. And by the way, I also want to touch on how this affects our children, all these little steps I'm giving you. So I'll just go back to the first thing I said, which was, finding what you're good at and unlocking your gifts and cultivating that. And I always say, isn't it kind of sad that we have to start to find ourselves in our 30s and our 40s? It's like, who am I? What is my purpose? What am I doing here on the planet? I would love to be able to give my kids the gift of starting to unlock their gifts from a very young age. We spend like 13 years in school being told what to learn, being forced to memorize things. And then, we go to university and we still don't really know what we want to do a lot of the time. Sometimes we don't go to university. Like, it takes us years to figure out what we're truly passionate about. I mean, I'm in my early 40s and I just in the last couple of years have figured out what my gifts are and what brings me joy and started on this path. And I just think, man, imagine if I would have started to learn that when I was so young. And this is where I think that it's so powerful for us to be in this space of doing this now, because we're not only are we setting a great example for our kids, but we can start to look for that in our children. And this is why I love Montessori education. So if you haven't already listened to this episode, we had a fabulous podcast episode. I think it was called Making Sense of Montessori, with a Montessori expert. And she talks about the Montessori method and why it's so great when it comes to not just like early childhood education, but just in general, growing great human beings, because Montessori helps kids kind of figure out what they're good at. Like, they automatically gravitate to what they love and what they're good at, and then they want to learn more about that. And it's just a more natural way of getting educated, rather than forcing things on them that they may have no interest in learning. So I love this idea that we can foster this in our children from a young age, by just starting to be this ourselves. And then I love, now that I'm so aware of this, I love watching my little guys, when they're playing or when they're talking, or the things they love to do, or the things that they come home from school and tell me, because it's giving me clues to what they genuinely, or things that they ask questions about. It's like, what do they genuinely love to do and what do they genuinely love to learn about? I want to foster more of that in them, so that by the time they're in their 20s and 30s, they're already in their flow and they've figured out a way to make that into a lifelong business, and they can do amazing things with it. I don't want them to have to get to the place where I was at, where I finally in my 40s had to figure it out, right? So I think that's really important, and that's an important way, it's an important thing to do and a way to instill it in your children. So now getting back to number 2, talking about gratitude. When you are in gratitude, when you are thankful for what you have, and when you are feeling like you're truly feeling like you're in that place of I'm content with what I have, you are suddenly changing your energy and drawing more amazing things to you. But what a gift it would be to also, again, instill that in your children, so it's just natural in them, as opposed to something that you have to learn, right? So gratitude for the little things, and feeling satisfied and happy with what you have, and eliminating the negativity from your life, and flipping the negative into the positive. So anytime something negative happens in your life, figuring out a way to turn that into gratitude, and figuring out a way to turn that into positive. What a gift to be able to raise children who naturally do that. So I'll share an example with you guys. This is just a very basic elementary example, but the other night, my little guys have strict bedtime. They go to bed at 7 o'clock. They're in kindergarten now, and they have to get up the next morning. So we're pretty tight on that. And my husband, a couple nights a week or several nights a week, he may miss their bedtime because he's not getting home till late. And a couple nights ago, their bedtime was 7, and he had sent me a text saying, I'm about 15 minutes away, or I'm 20 minutes away. And, so I thought, I'll keep them up so that they can see him. And so I allowed them to watch TV, which on school days, we don't really have time for TV, and TV's not a big thing in our house, so I don't really let them watch too much TV, but I allowed them to watch TV. And of course, they're kids, they love TV. So they're watching TV for 15, 20 minutes. And then my husband comes home and I'm like, okay, it's time to go to bed. And the whining starts. Oh, we want to watch more TV. Can't we watch another show? And I took that as a teaching moment. I took that as an opportunity to teach them about gratitude. And I said, I let you watch TV tonight. I let you stay up past your bedtime so you could see Dad. And I let you watch TV, even though I didn't, I don't like it when you guys watch too much TV. That was a special privilege, a special treat that you got. And now it doesn't seem like you're very grateful for it. So if you're going to act like that and not be grateful, then you're not going to get that privilege again. And then I went on further to say that in life, we get more of what we are grateful for. When we truly appreciate what we have, and when we have true gratitude for everything that's brought into our life and given to us, the universe will give us more. Or you can use God there, right? You can use God, you can use universe, you can use whatever. But I always say you get more of the things that you're really grateful for. So it was an elementary example because we're talking about TV. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it was appropriate for 5-year-olds. And so when they went to bed that night, I said to them, tonight before you go to fall asleep, I want you to think in your head about all the things you have in your life that you're really happy to have, that you're really grateful for, and you'll get more of those things. And then the next morning when they woke up, they were listing off they were telling me like last night we thought about all the things that we're grateful for, and they were listing off all the little things that they're grateful for. Like it was really cute. But I think that was a great teaching moment and a great way to start that conversation with children about just giving gratitude and turning your negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And I'm not a person who ever complains about the weather. I live somewhere where it rains literally like 80% of the time, and people all around me are constantly complaining how it's raining, and I'm thinking, you've lived here for how long? You know that all it does is rain here. Why are we complaining about the rain? And so, I use those little opportunities. Like today, it was pouring rain, and I just had that conversation with my kids. We talked about the rain and how living in a place like this where it rains so much is so great because the leaves and the grass and the trees, they get all this water, and that's why they're so green all the time. I come from a place, I lived here for 10 years, but I used to live in Alberta where, around this time of year, it's before it snows, like the grass is like brown and dry and gross. It's not as beautiful there as it is here. And so, I was talking about that with my kids too. I was like, in Edmonton, it's all the grass is brown and it doesn't look this great. Like it's so nice that we get so much rain here because it's what the grass and the trees need. So changing the conversations that you're having and changing your perspective sets a great example for your kids, but it also does amazing things for you. So simply taking anything in your life right now that you want to hate on, turn it into a positive conversation, turn it into gratitude. I always say this is such a simple example, but moms who are overwhelmed, tired, exhausted, when you're constantly talking about how overwhelmed, tired, and exhausted you are, it just creates this negative story, right? I get it. I'm a mom of twins. I get how tiring and exhausting it can be to be a mom. But if you're always living in that, if you're always living in the how hard it is, it will just seem hard all the time, right? Ask for help if you need it. Vent to a friend who's capable of helping you and listening to you, but don't make that your story. Don't be a mommy martyr, right? Don't talk about how all the things you don't have time to do. Talk about all the amazing things that you're doing. Change the conversation, live in gratitude. That's how you're going to raise your vibration. It sets such a poor example for your children, right? They pick up on your vibe. So let's try to make the vibe more positive. So living in gratitude. I just want to see what somebody said here. I am in Vancouver. So easy to complain, but such a beautiful perspective. Yes. And, you used to live in Alberta too. I love it. Yes, perspective. Change your perspective. Okay. You will never hear me complaining about pretty much anything anymore. I really try to catch myself if I'm ever in that place, because it just lower. Have you ever spent time with that person who was just complaining, or gossiping? It was just negative. And you walk away from the conversation, you're like, I have no energy. Like, they just sucked the energy right out of you. Because we are vibrating, energetic beings. We have an energy about us. Anyone who's ever been anywhere knows that there is an energy about people. You know, you're in a room and you're like, wow, the vibe in that room was so amazing. Or, yeah, when this person said this, I could feel the tension. You could like cut it with a knife. That's energy. So it's a real thing. Vibration and energy, it's a real thing. And when you are constantly in this circle of negativity, and you're not in gratitude, and you're not in using positive words to speak, then what ends up happening is it lowers your vibration. Okay, so start to pay attention to your thoughts and to your words, and to try to change your perspective. I'm not saying always be this like fake happy person. I'm just saying don't focus on it. And you know, busy is another word I hear thrown around a lot. People are talking about how busy they are all the time, right? I'll ask somebody how they're doing, and they'll say, I'm so busy. And I'm like, that's not an emotion. I asked how you're doing. Like, how are you feeling? Busy is not an emotion. And yet people respond with that all the time. They say how busy they are. So I got news for you. If you're always talking about how busy you are, you're always going to be busy, okay? Start to change your perspective. Start to do more of what you love and less of what you hate, and you will instantly be less busy. And stop using the word busy, actually. There's my challenge for you. That's your homework for this week. Try to take the word busy out of your vocabulary. I don't actually say I'm busy anymore. If I do feel like I've had a lot going on in a particular day or a particular week, I might say my day was very full, or my life is very full. Because full means it's full of great things. I don't like the word busy. I just feel like we use it as kind of a cop-out now, and we use it to describe how we're feeling. And our world is chaotic already, so let's try to get the busy out of it, okay? So just start paying attention to your words and how you're expressing yourself, and the example that you're setting for your children. So that's the second way you can up-level your mom life. And I also just want to quickly say, I heard this great interview between Oprah and I can't remember his name right now. He's like this like spiritual teacher, Michael Beckwith, I think his name is. And they were talking about all this stuff, like the law of attraction and vibration and energy and drawing great things to you. And he was saying, he said it very eloquently, that when you want good things in your life, you have to radiate it yourself, right? You have to radiate positivity and good things and have your vibration high so that good things are attracted to you, like magnet, right? You're not going to pull stuff to you. You're going to draw things to you. So if you want a more abundant life, if you want a happier life, if you want a more calm life, you have to put that energy out first. Yeah, the way he kind of put it was he was talking about how you can make things happen sometimes, but it's just temporary. If you're not truly operating from a place of high vibration, anything that you pull into your life that feels like it's a good fit, you'll eventually lose it. And the example he gave was of people who win the lottery. He's like, if you're not really in a place of feeling like you have abundance, and you're not really open to receiving all these amazing things, you could potentially win the lottery. But that's why a lot of people who win the lottery eventually just end up losing all their winnings, because it was never drawn to them from a genuine place. They weren't ready to receive that. So I thought that was really, really powerful. And then number 3, the final way that you can up-level your mom life. And I talked about this a little bit on my Instagram stories. If you don't follow me on Instagram, come hop over there. I just share kind of my behind the scenes life day to day. But I shared this on there that, there's this saying that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with in your life. And I truly believe this to be true. I don't know if the number is 5, right? It could be more, it could be less. And I don't think it's just limited to people. I just think that the things and the time that you spend the most time with, or the people and the things that you spend the most time with, nowadays, especially with social media. I mean, you got to put that in there too, right? Whatever you're being exposed to on a constant basis ends up becoming your reality. Whether that's people, whether that's social media, whether that's whatever, the news, right? We have to stop surrounding ourselves with negativity. So you've got to eliminate anything or anyone in your life that is not up here. You know, talking about vibration again. When you spend time with that friend who makes you feel drained, when you find that you're constantly spending your time with people who actually don't bring any benefit to you in your life, when they're not adding to your life in a positive way, it's time to get rid of them. Okay? And I don't watch the news anymore. I think that it's extremely toxic. I don't have anyone in my social media feed anymore that, you know, where I'll turn on Facebook or Instagram and where somebody's bitching and complaining. I've removed all those people. And if they're too close of friends and family for me to unfriend, I'll just unfollow. There's a little tip for you. If you actually don't want to unfriend somebody, you can just unfollow them so that you don't see their stuff. You know who I'm talking about. There's lots of people like that out there who like to just post all the negative things. You don't need to, time is short, guys. Life is short. It is not a dress rehearsal. And I don't want to spend it surrounding myself in any way with any negativity anymore. And, you know, I mentioned this a few weeks ago on my Instagram stories about not watching the news. And I had a couple of people comment. I had a couple of people comment to me and ask me, how do you know what's going on in the world? And don't you feel a social responsibility to know what's going on in the world? Here's my answer to that. My social responsibility is in the four walls of my home. My social responsibility is to be the best version of myself I can possibly be so I can impact my immediate family, my husband, my kids, and to raise the most amazing, awesome kids who are going to grow up to make our world an amazing place. If each of us took that kind of responsibility to just work on ourselves, to be better people, hi Angie, and then in turn, we're raising these amazing kids. I mean, I read this great book, guys, and I highly recommend it. It's called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, okay? If you're into this stuff, I would read this book. She says in that book, what kind of world do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a world where every single person that you're surrounded by is happy, working on themselves, trying to, you know, raise their vibration? Or do you want to live in a world where every single person is miserable, blaming other people for their problems, and hating life? I think the answer is very simple. We all want to live in a world where everybody is working on themselves, being better people, taking responsibility for their own thoughts, feelings, and actions. So having said that, knowing that this is what we all would love to do, let's all do it, right? Let's all take responsibility for ourselves and work on up-leveling our own lives. And then, bonus, as moms, we have kids. And we automatically infect our children with that when we've been working on ourselves. So now we are exponentially adding value to the world and to our future and to what's going on, right? If you're paying attention to what's going on in the world today, that's what's going on in the world today. It's a culmination of a lot of disastrous things, like, I don't want to say bad parenting, but I'll say bad parenting is part of it, right? There's a lot of things going on in the world right now that are simply a result of the fact that we've lost touch with what it means to parent and to be family units and to have villages, right? So my social responsibility, that's how I'm contributing to the world, is I'm making sure that I am a healthy, happy, whole human being, and I'm raising healthy, happy, whole kids. And that's what I try to focus on. Don't get me wrong, I'm not ignorant. It's not that I don't watch the news, so I don't know what's going on in the world. I know what's going on in the world. But I know that, what does it matter if I watch the news? If I can't make change myself to be a happier person, and if I can't make change with my kids, how am I going to change the world? What am I going to do about what's happening in the news? I have to start, it starts with us, guys. So think about who are the people you're spending the most time with? Where are you spending most of your time in social media? Is there anything or anyone in your day that you encounter that kind of lowers your energy or lowers your vibe? It's time to get rid of them. Okay? You don't have to be that cutthroat about it, but it's so important. It is so important to get rid of the toxic things in your life. So there we go. There you have it. There's the top 3 ways that you can up-level your mom life. So to recap, find your gifts and unlock them. Okay? Talk to people if you don't remember what they are, and start to do more of what you love. Whether it's a hobby or whether you want to turn it into a business, it doesn't matter. Just start to figure out what it is that lights you up and try to reconnect with that. Number 2, raise your vibration by changing your perspective and having gratitude. And remember that amazing things come to amazing people. So once you raise your vibration and start to change the aura around you, that's when the good things will start coming. You have to be, right? Like I said, that interview with Michael Beckwith, you have to be in that place, in that feeling of positivity and high vibration in order to attract those amazing things to you. And then thirdly, you are the sum of the 5 people, things, whatever that you spend the most time with in doing. So start to evaluate who and what those are. And if they are not adding to your life in a positive way, it's time to get rid of them and change them in for something else that is more inspiring and positive. Okay? All right, guys, that's it. That's it for today. 3 ways to up-level your mom life. I hope this was valuable. Sorry it was a little bit long. We've gone into overtime, I think. I love hearing from you guys. So comment below, private message me, and I hope you have a super fabulous day. Thanks for tuning in.